What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22, and it is time for the penultimate race of the season, the Brazilian Grand Prix. We've had 20 races so far this season. We've got 2 more before the end. Last time out we were in Portugal, or the very little of Portugal that we actually did end up racing. We did 7 laps in the end before the car broke down. As you can see there, we got a quote-unquote rebate for our mechanical failure, but not really. They're not giving me an option to install a new energy store, but honestly it's probably for the best because the old one can definitely last. I was only changing it just because it was quite worn out, but I mean, if the new one failed, then we might as well go back to the old one, is the way I see it. We've only got a few more upgrades to adapt now. We've got 6 in the aero department, and we're going to be adapting a few in a second, I'm sure. But yeah, in the end I decided I am going to switch back to the old energy store because it just, even if we had the option to get a new one, which it wasn't giving us, it just seems to make way more sense to do it this way. So we've adapted all of our engine components now, and now we just got aero components to adapt as well, and then we'll be in the money. We'll see where we come out next season. I'm very optimistic about it because it's such a massive technical overhaul. If we can get on top of it, which at this point we basically have, we've only got a few aero components here and there to cover off, we could be looking at being a very strong team next season. But you know, we'll wait and see how good we end up being. We're comfortably the worst car on the grid again. There was a period of time where we were sort of competing with the cars around us, but as the season progressed and as we sacked off development when the regulation change came around, it kind of just all fell away again. But I mean, honestly, I don't really have an issue with that, because if it's for the greater good for us to be fast next season, then yeah, I don't really see a problem with that at all. It's a sprint weekend, the Brazilian Grand Prix, so we're treating you to a bumper 48 laps of racing. I will say right now, neither of these races involve me not finishing, so we will get the 48 laps of racing, unlike in Portugal, or, well, in Austria as well, where we had a quote-unquote sprint weekend, but then my car broke down 2 laps into the actual race, so it was just a sprint race followed by nothing. The sprint and the race happen on this occasion, hence the video length being close to 40 minutes. And yeah, they're pretty good, so I would definitely recommend sticking around to watch them. Practice was okay. I put in my notes, pace was pretty good, very helpful past me. Yeah, there was nothing really to note there, other than that I think we'll probably have a good qualifying session, which is what we're getting into right now. Yeah, Q3 is the target here. Normally I target Q2, Q3 in Brazil, absolutely, at a minimum. Maybe sort of like top 6 or 7. That would be what I'd be aiming for here. We go around on our first flying lap. We're on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. It's a 108.4. It's only a couple tenths faster than Robert Schwartzman. I'd wage to say that's probably not going to be fast enough, or if it is, it's going to be right on the bubble. And yeah, as we come to the end of Q1 on another set of fresh softs, we're 2 tenths up, but we were blocked by Latifi for a lot of the lap, and yeah, in the end that leads us to getting P14. So yeah, not the end of the world, but we definitely want to make some improvements in Q2 if we're to make it happen. Yeah, we've got a lot more pace in the car, I think, than what we showed in that qualifying session, just because of Latifi blocking us, so hopefully we'll do a little bit better. I think Alonso was fastest there, so hopefully he's not fastest again this weekend. I've kind of had enough of him being really, really good. It's kind of, you know, we've gone through the humiliation, and that's all we need. It's a 108.1 to start us off on Q2, and that was on a used set of softs. I'm currently in P10, but I think there's still some cars yet to set their second flying lap, so we'll see how we do in our final run of Q2. I'll show you the full thing. It's only a short lap around here, like 1 minute 5 or 6 seconds usually. Very short all in all. One of the shortest laps on the calendar, along with Austria. So Yeah, we're already nearly halfway through, believe it or not, and we're 2/10 up. I think it'll probably be good enough to get us into Q3 on 2/10 alone, but we'll see if we can make any more improvements going forward. We've got Mercedes in front of us. I don't know if he's on a cooldown lap or on a hot lap. I guess we'll figure out based on whether we start catching him or not. I don't think we're going to have to worry about him too much. We've already made a few improvements as we come through the sort of the twistier technical section, which is the one I'm typically best at compared to the cars around me. And yeah, we're about 5/10 up as we come into the sort of the final straight with the DRS and everything. 5 or 6/10 improvement overall. We'll see if it's going to be good enough. We're in P11, so we do need to make an improvement, but I don't know by how much. And as we come to the line, Hamilton was on a hot lap, but it is good enough to get us into Q3 in a position of P6. So yeah, a nice 5/6 improvement there, not bad. It was all we needed. P6, if we can get that in Q3, I will be more than happy with that. Norris goes fastest on this occasion, but Alonso is still very fast, and Ocon 2 is seriously fast. Ricciardo, the only top team elimination at the hands of me, of course, but me in Q3 is... you should expect it by now, you know. I feel like I do it more often than I don't, and hopefully we'll be getting a lot more pole positions next season if we can get on top of our car and you know, try and make it as strong as it can be for the coming season. Now we're on our first flying lap of Q3. Used set of softs again. Hamilton set a 174. We've set a 107.7. So yeah, we definitely still have some improvement here. And as we come around on our final flying lap, we've made a couple tenths worth of improvement. Nothing major, but maybe we can jump up a place or two. And in the end, we do jump up one place, and it will be P7. So yeah, a decent qualifying, not a bad qualifying by any means, but yeah, there's still a long way to go. We've got a sprint and we've got a race.
Verstappen, Norris, and George Russell. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
The thing I've really got to focus on here, I really need us to just have a good sprint. Try and stay sort of around the top 10 if we can, because I imagine a lot of penalties will be getting applied, and we won't be taking a penalty. So it should be good enough for us to sort of start in a points paying position, maybe even top 5, something like that, if we can have a good result in the sprint. But obviously we've got to do that to have it. So yeah, we'll see. The rivalry with Russell is getting away from us. I think we've probably already lost it, to be honest, because there's only this sprint and race, and then the race in Abu Dhabi, and he's 4 points ahead. I don't think we can close him down by that much unless we out-qualify and out-race him and probably get a faster lap than him in Abu Dhabi. So we'll see in that regard. Obviously the practice session comes after qualifying, and we'll see all the development boosts we've got. I think maybe if we get a little bit lucky, we might be able to sneak on one more upgrade before the end of the season, but probably not. I think we've had a lot for this season, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, next up is the sprint, which is the sort of the big. Well, it's what determines the grid, but not really, because what determines the grid by this stage in the season is grid penalties, and I mean, you know that based on the things we've seen in previous seasons with the sprint race, that someone like Hamilton in 2021 started at the back of the grid, made his way up to 5th, started 10th in the race, and then won the race. He was on another level that weekend, but in the end it was all for nothing. Anyway, we'll get into the race.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, and Hamilton. Robinson, Leclerc, Sainz, and Sergio Perez. Ricciardo, Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, and Joe. Mick Schumacher, Albon, Yuki Tsunoda, and Nicholas Latifi. Schwartzman, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do.
Yeah, shut up, Mark. We're in a hurry. We need to do as well as we can in this sprint. If we can finish roughly where we start, that would be ideal.
Launch lap is good.
We're usually pretty good around Brazil, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We got a lot of fast cars in front of us. We got both Alpines, and the higher they finish, the more the championship is going to fall away from us. But I'm not going to worry about that too much for now, and we'll see if they're faster than us, or whether we can perhaps compete with them a little bit throughout this race. It's sprint time now. Our battery is a little bit worn due to the energy store wear, but the lights come on. And the lights go out, and here we go. It's time for the sprint race to commence. We get a pretty decent start, but it's not good enough quite to get ahead of Hamilton just yet. And yeah, now we're under pressure from the likes of Perez and Sainz behind, but I think we're just about going to hold on to the position for now. Burning a lot of battery now just to stay with the cars in front, but the cars behind are going to have significantly superior straight line speed compared to me, and this is going to be difficult to keep them behind as a result of that. But I think we'll just about be able to make it work for the time being, but we're going to come under an immense amount of pressure from them over the course of the lap, and all the time that they're doing that, we're losing touch to Ocon in front, who is now almost a second in front. But there's a bit of a concertina effect going on in front of us, which is enabling us to kind of keep them within touch, within the DRS range for now. But it's still going to be a lap and a half before we know for certain whether we're going to stay within range of them by the time lap 3 rolls around. And now as we move to the replay camera, you can see Leclerc is going to make a move on us, and yeah, he's just got way too much pace in that car. You know, the world champion could close it out for a second time in a row today, well, tomorrow actually, I think, provided that Perez doesn't outscore him by like 20 points, which I don't think is going to happen based on where Perez is starting in this race. And now Perez is also on the attack. He was pissed off that I suggested he couldn't win the championship, and he's like, well, no thanks to you, mate. And now he's moved ahead of us as well. And yeah, that will be P9 for us. And yeah, we're just going backwards in this race right now. And if you couldn't guess, lap 4, we're now under pressure from Carlos Sainz in the other Ferrari, and we're taking big hits from him. And yeah, he attacks us, but we just about managed to keep him behind for now. But he's going to continue attacking us as we move through that corner, and as we move up towards the fast right-hander, he's going to be fully ahead by the time we get there. And that is P9 for him and P10 for myself, and we're on the fringes of falling out of the points. We've got 2 cars behind us who are going to be piling the pressure on us as well, so we're going to need to figure out a way to keep them behind. And we've lost touch to the cars in front, Perez and Sainz, but we have managed to keep Gasly and Ricciardo behind at least for a couple laps. But now Gasly is going to attack me into the center S's. We're going to squeeze him to the inside, and that's going to allow us to have a slightly better run through the S's themselves. But Gasly's managed to recoup himself, and with the DRS, he's burning a bit of battery, I'm sure, as well. He manages to make the overtake work, and Ricciardo's also looking for the move. He forces us wide a little bit, and yeah, we have to end up falling 2 positions down, and now we're under pressure from Albon behind as well. We are in a really sticky situation here. We just can't fight with anyone, it feels like. And yeah, that was unfortunately the worst thing that happened in the race. Really, we didn't get overtaken again after that. We managed to kind of crack the code to keep the rest of the cars in this race behind us, and as a result we come home P12. It's not great, we didn't score any points, but it could have been a lot worse, and hopefully with some penalties applied we will be able to start a bit higher up in the actual race itself, but that remains to be seen exactly what's going to happen. I think I'm guessing Verstappen won if he got driver of the day, but I'm not sure. We'll see, I guess.
Let's see how the drivers' standings have changed. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Let's move on to the constructors. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. Well, that wraps up the sprint. All that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Well, Norris ended up taking it, so I guess he'll be starting from first as long as he doesn't have any penalties applied to him. And then you've got the likes of Verstappen and Alonso ahead of him as well. So yeah, it could be an interesting one, but we'll have to see to make sure. I think Red Bull are very close to wrapping up the constructors as well if they haven't already, which is because they've got 2 cars who were close to being in the championship fight, whereas Ferrari only had 1, whereas Sainz was a long way off. And yeah, that enabled Red Bull to kind of not really have any issues when it came to closing out the constructors championship. But the drivers is very much still up in the air as far as we can see, and we'll see who can close it out as we move into the race.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and just 4 years later, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. That gives us our best passing opportunity down into turn 1. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Ocon, Leclerc, Sergio Perez and Gasly, Ricciardo, Robinson, Verstappen and Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher and Schwartzman, Albon, Sainz, Sebastian Vettel and Guan Yu Zhou. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Stroll, Latifi, they've taken a grid penalty. Oscar Piastri and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
So it looks like the strategy that they think would be best for us is going to be 11 laps on the softs followed by 25 laps on the mediums. It's going to be a long medium stint, but if we can pull it off, I think we're going to be on a different strategy to a lot of the cars around us. And that is going to enable us to potentially get quite far up the order just by having superior grip through the early part of the stint. It requires us to be able to defend, which is a bit of an issue because we weren't very good at doing that in the sprint, and we've got a lot of fast cars behind us. I mean, we've just the first 3 cars behind us are Verstappen, Alonso, and one of the Mercedes. I think it's Hamilton, but I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, that's going to be a real tall order to keep them behind whilst also trying to move forward ahead of cars like Gasly and maybe Ricciardo as well. Who knows? We'll see where we shake out. But yeah, for now it's time for the lights to come on. And the lights go out. And it's time for us to do what we can, do what we do best. We already make up a position off the start on Ricciardo. And we're going to see if we can keep him behind. Gasly dives up the inside of Perez. And that is going to enable him to potentially move back into P5 here, I think. Yep, and he does exactly that. and we were looking to challenge Gasly off the start. That's not going to happen anymore. I think Alonso has already moved up a place on Verstappen as well, as we now look on the replay camera, and we can see that we're under pressure a little bit from Alonso behind as well, but he gets squeezed out, I think, maybe by Ricciardo behind or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, we've held on to this position for now. We're going to go up the inside of Gasly through the fast left-hander, which is a testament to the grip that we have compared to him. Testament to the grip that we can go around outside of Perez. Here, I'm losing my voice. That's how intense that overtake was. And yeah, we now move up into, I think this is P5. Yeah, so it's Leclerc leading from Russell, from Norris, from Ocon, and then it's me. So yeah, P5 at the moment, and hopefully we can make more progress through this race as things progress, and we do what we can. Here's Kevin Magnussen going for a move on our teammate Piastri, and ooh, that was contact. Piastri's front wing is totaled, and given that he went off screen, I'll tell you now, Magnussen is out of the race, and that is a VSC deployed. So oh, it's been upgraded to a full safety car actually. So we've got a safety car within the first 2 laps of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and this helps us actually quite a lot because it means that we can conserve our tyre life to the end of the Grand Prix. Well, not to the end of the stint at least, by having a couple laps where we're not pushing super hard on the tyres. We've managed to keep them pretty warm, so hopefully we'll be able to contend with the cars ahead of us, especially considering their faster tyres anyway. They're going to have more grip. We're going to be able to get the power down a little bit quicker than the cars in front, and basically as soon as Leclerc goes, we have to punch it, and we should be able to get ahead of Ocon. But I guess we'll see. I was a little bit late on the uptake there, but I think we're still going to be okay as we have a look on Ocon. We have to brake a bit early, otherwise we'd go into the back of Norris. Ocon doesn't have that problem. He goes up the inside of Norris, and we go around the outside of Norris. And yeah, Norris was just stuck in a P5 Constructors Fight Championship. That was a terrible sentence. And now we're up into P4, and Ocon is up into P3. So we're still going to have to battle pretty hard with him if we want to have any chance of fighting back in this Constructors Fight. We can't let him get away, just like we can't let the likes of Russell and Leclerc ahead get away as well. We just need to fight with everything we've got. Lap 7, and we're looking at potentially going for a move on Ocon, but we don't quite make it work. He's just a little bit too far ahead. Even though we were burning lots of battery and we had the DRS, he was just a little bit too fast for us to get ahead. And we're under pressure from Norris behind still. He hasn't forgotten what we did, and he wants a word. But I don't want to give him that word. I want Ocon to have to deal with the brunt of that. So I'm gonna burn literally all of my battery trying to get ahead of Ocon here. And in the end, it's still not quite enough. I just didn't feel confident enough braking super late there and going deep into the corner that he wouldn't just turn in on me. I've seen it happen too many times in this game where the AI is just like, nope, you're going to be punished if you try and go for a perfectly legitimate racing move, because they lack the awareness to deal with that. Now we're on lap 9 and coming under pressure from Lando Norris a bit. He was maybe looking to the inside a little bit there, but we just about hold on to the position without too many issues, although he is going to start looking up our inside as we come through this fast right-hander. It's a right-hander, not a left-hander, as I said earlier in the race, I believe. And yeah, Ocon Norris is right on our tail right now, and any mistake could lead to us losing this position, so we need to just be absolutely clinical with the moves we're making right now and do everything we can to keep him behind. Otherwise we are going to be in for a world of pain, and I really want to stay with Ocon so we can get ahead of him. But I mean, he is on an alternate strategy, so maybe we could undercut. This is now our pit lap 11. But once again, we're under pressure from Norris. You can see he's only 1/10 behind us. We are under immense pressure from him, and he does dive up the inside a little bit. But with the outside, we're going to squeeze him to the inside of the track, and that is going to allow us to maintain the position. For now, he's fallen off a bit, and we find ourselves in P4 still. But yeah, Ocon is all the time that we squabble with Norris, Ocon gets to run away a little bit more. So I really want to avoid this as best I can, to the point that I would even almost be willing to let Norris go if it meant that he could hold up Ocon for me so I could get ahead of Ocon. I know that would be no net change in position, but it would mean that Ocon would lose 2 positions, which is a big deal in this Constructors' Championship fight. Sometimes you've got to think about things tactically, But I don't have to think about anything at the moment. We have the DRS, that'll be enough to hold off Norris until we go into the pits. Nobody else is pitting on this lap, not even Russell, who's on the same strategy as me. Oh, Leclerc actually is. So he pits from the lead. We come in. I think that's Alonso and Hamilton, who are also on the soft strategy. They've come in, and that will be all of our stops completed for the entire Grand Prix now. We come in. Will it be a quick stop? Let's find out. Yep, it was pretty good by the looks of things. I think one of those tyres was a tiny bit slow. 2.8 seconds is not the end of the world. And yeah, we come out still ahead of Alonso and Hamilton, so that was pretty much all we needed to worry about. Piastri is a little bit up the road. I think he'll be coming in on this lap though, because he's on the soft compound tyres as well. And really, all we want to do is just try and maximise our pace, but also hope that the cars that started on the medium tyres come in before such time that they're going to start holding us up. Otherwise, that's really going to affect my battle with the likes of Ocon and that. We move forward a little bit, and you now see that we are on the back of the likes of Albon. We have the DRS on this occasion, and Russell is actually just up the road. Him and Leclerc have been quite held up by some of the cars, which is exactly what I was saying that I didn't want to happen to me. It's kind of played into my favour a little bit as we cut the track slightly there, but that's okay. As we're now within DRS range of the leaders of the race, I don't know where Ocon will come out when he pits, whether it will be a case of he's overcut us, or whether because we pitted so much earlier than him, we've actually undercut him. But of course, he will have fresher tyres, although they will be a step harder. I believe they'll be mediums rather than hards. And Vettel is holding up these guys a treat right now, which is really allowing me to get back into this fight massively. But I don't want to be stuck here forever, otherwise Alonso is going to get involved in this fight as well. So I go for a bit of a send there on Charles Leclerc, and that moves us into P13. But once all the cars that are on this medium hard strategy have pitted, I think it will either be P2 or P3. I find myself in. So yeah, we're making hella moves right now. We got the DRS from Vettel. That's going to allow us to stay with Russell, and there is a car in front of him as well. I believe it's Tsunoda. Yep, it is Tsunoda. Ocon's pitted. He's nowhere near. He's going to come out behind his teammate Fernando Alonso, I think. And you see Tsunoda has held up Russell a treat now. So as we come to the end of lap 18, we are really close behind him. We're going to have the DRS, but he will have the DRS on this occasion as well. We're burning a lot of battery, but it's not going to be quite enough. And now we've got Norris and Perez coming in. I think we're coming out ahead of them as well as Russell goes deep. He holds me up so much through that corner. It's actually unbelievable. But yeah, now we're burning more and more battery. We're going to get ahead of him. He will have no DRS on this occasion. So we're going to try and attack him. We're going to move to the inside, then switch to the outside. And yeah, in the end, he actually does manage to hold the position by braking perfectly. Literally in the perfect position. That was a beautiful defense, I can't lie. George Russell, you've impressed me on this occasion, and now I am battling my rival for the lead of this Grand Prix. Whoever is ahead in this battle will be the winner of the race if things stay as they currently are, provided no cars behind come back into touch. As we move on to lap 24 now, I'm just charging up the battery a little bit, trying to go for an attack again. When I went for that attack on lap 19, it basically used up all of my battery, and we have to use a certain amount to stay with him. And we also have to burn, we also have to not use too much, otherwise we're not going to be harvesting it. So it's a real balancing act. Alonso has been kind of sticking with us this whole time. He's a little bit further back and not really involved in this fight. But I mean, if we hold each other up too much, that could be him invited back into the fight very quickly. So I have to be careful to not go for a move until I'm absolutely sure that I can make it work. Otherwise, we are going to be under pressure from him as well, and that is the last thing I want. I don't want to concede a position to Alonso when I'm battling him for the championship. The fact that he's this high up at all suggests that we're probably going to be in a spot of bother, but yeah, we're still needing to save up quite a lot of this battery if we want to contend with Russell ahead. So we'll see how much we can do in the harvesting realm before we mount an attack on him. And in the end, it was lap 29 that I decided that we have enough to finally mount an attack on him. We used the DRS and the battery, and we're going to try and go up the inside. No, we switch to the outside again, and once again he positions his car in the perfect place to the point that he's actually quite slow through the corner. And yeah, we still don't manage to get ahead. We even set a purple sector 1 what, 18 lap old mediums, which is a pretty impressive thing to do, but it's still not enough to get the move done. So we're going to have to bide our time, and we might have enough battery saved up for one more attack, but if we don't do that, then Russell has won this race, like he did in real life in 2022, of course. But yeah, I'm not too concerned about historical accuracy at the moment. I'm more concerned about maximizing the amount of points I can score in this race, so as to finish ahead of Fernando Alonso and potentially finish ahead of Alpine in the Constructors' Championship. It's pretty much over already, but I need to do everything I can to try and make it as less impossible as I can. I don't know, that didn't really make any sense, but anyway, we'll move forward from that comment, because we're going to mount another attack on this lap. We're a little bit further back, but only 4 tenths. We're burning the battery. We've got the DRS. We're going to burn the battery the whole way down to the corner, and we'll see if it's going to be enough. He doesn't consider us a threat, and that allows me to go up the inside, and we actually make a little bit of contact there. I don't think he was expecting me to try and dive from that far back, and as a result, he did exactly what I was alluding to earlier, and turned in on me when I was already alongside him. I don't really think I can be blamed for that, but I did take the lead of the Grand Prix. This is Piastri, and he's had a big crash there with either Vettel or Stroll. I'm not sure which Aston Martin that is, and surely that's going to be a safety car, and indeed it is. Yeah, Piastri trying to make things a bit more difficult for me. I was 3 seconds up the road from Alonso, quite happy biding my time for the rest of the race, but now I'm going to probably have a couple laps where I'm going to have to really get my elbows out and defend from Alonso and Hamilton. If you're wondering where Russell went, he had to pit due to the contact between me and him, so that was an unfortunate way for his race to end, but you know, like I said, I think it was his fault. I think you'll see it again when I show you the highlights of this race, so you can decide for yourself. But now, this really is the moment. It's going to be me and Fernando Alonso battling for 2 laps for the win of the race. I am going to wait for as long as I can before I punch it, and here we go. Right, safety car restart. I think I caught him off guard. Indeed, we're pulling away from him a little bit, not massively though, and yeah, he is going to be attacking us down into the braking zone of this DRS straight for sure. You know, he's only 2 tenths behind now. He won't have any DRS, of course. It's not going to get enabled for the rest of the race because we've only got 2 laps of action, but we managed to fend him off for now, but we're still going to be under an immense amount of pressure from Fernando Alonso for pretty much the rest of the race now, I imagine. I can't remember what I think he's on the same strategy as me, so the tyre life isn't going to play into it. We're on the same tyre life, and now here we go, the DRS straight, the main straight, we're burning the battery, he's burning the battery, no doubt he's going to go up the inside here. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. We go around the outside of him, and we just about hold on to the position. But will he attack us back through this next section? We'll see. We're pulling away from him with the battery for now. We've got enough battery to fight this whole way, and I think we're just about pulling away from him. We'll see if Hamilton's actually going to attack him down into this corner. I don't know if he... I think they're on the same strategy again, so again, tyre life isn't going to play into it. Alonso seems to hold him off for now, but because of that attack, and because he's attacked him here as well, Hamilton has basically gifted me the race win unless I massively drop the ball in these last few corners. They're now a second behind. There won't be any DRS anyway, but it doesn't make a difference. I don't think there's a way he can close down a second through, 3 corners and a straight. I think we've got this in the bag. I'm going to try and hold off for as long as I can, but this could be our second race win this season if we play our cards right. He is catching us a tiny bit. I don't think it's going to be enough. We've got enough battery to burn to the line. I'm not concerned about that in the slightest. 55% will be absolutely fine. Our tyres are in the orange. That's how worn they are. We were on them for 25 laps. No surprises, but we crossed the line, and it's another victory. Like in Zandvoort, we've closed the deal once again. Man, what a race. What a crazy race from P8 to the win. That's how it's done. That is how it is done.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It might have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, completing at this level at the very top is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. A nearly flawless performance here then, and a commanding victory. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
There's Charles Leclerc, congratulations to him. 2 world championships in a row, pretty good. Not sure I agree with what Ant said about us having a great car. I think I just drag a dog around a track for 30 odd laps and sometimes I win. And this was one of those times.
The best efforts of our championship leader, that lead has taken a bit of a knock today. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Carlos Sainz certainly wasn't someone to scoff about. His ability to follow race strategies throughout with pinpoint precision has to be commended.
And it's another title in the bag for Red Bull after a long and hard-fought season. They've built an astonishing car this year, and the glory they'll be taking back to Milton Keynes is fully deserved. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
I did everything I could, but with a 29-point deficit, there's no way to catch Alpine. Piastri will not score points in Abu Dhabi, and he definitely won't have a P8 finish, and I definitely won't get a win, and Piastri gets a P8 finish. So that is the fight for P5 concluded. And yeah, it's a shame that it had to end that way, but at least we got a race win in going for that. The title for both the World Drivers' Championship and the World Constructors' Championship is wrapped up now. Leclerc wins the Drivers and Red Bull win the Constructors. So it's a split season. It's always interesting when those happens. It means it was probably actually a competitive season if a different team wins the Drivers' Championship to the Constructors' Championship, like in 2021. Anyway, I'll stop bringing that up because I know a lot of people who are still quite sore about that one. We still have a championship fight on our hands, actually. I think we've probably beaten Russell, so we could finish P6 in the Drivers, or we could finish P5 if we can outscore Hamilton by at least 5 points in the next race, which basically means we have to finish sort of 2 or 3 positions ahead of him, which is going to be tough, especially in a race like Abu Dhabi. But if we can qualify well, we will get promoted up the grid. Lots of people like to take penalties there. I've seen it happen before, and we will see it happen again. I'm sure of it. So yeah, make sure you watch tomorrow's video for the season finale. Yeah, all in all, this was a solid race by I think just about any standard. If I win a race, I can't really complain about it in any way. The sprint was very disappointing. I'm just glad that I managed to turn it around. It looks like we are going to cover off all of our upgrades. So really the only things that we've got to worry about now, yeah, are the P5 fight in the Drivers' Championship between myself and Hamilton, and whether Piastri will want to re-sign with us for next season. I'm quite keen to have him on board, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see whether he wants us. Sometimes they can be a bit iffy about that. I think he actually joined us when we weren't the worst car on the grid, so he might not want to re-sign with us. In which case, he might end up taking Vettel's seat at Aston Martin, but I'm not 100% sure whether that will prove to be true or not. If he doesn't re-sign with us, I don't really know what we're going to do. Maybe we'll see if we can get Enzo Fittipaldi back. Maybe he'll be like, oh, sorry, I didn't realise that being not in Formula 1 was worse than being in a bad car in Formula 1. Besides, we could have a really good car next season. I'm very optimistic about it. So we will have to wait and see with regards to what's going to happen with that. Russell has definitely won this rivalry now. I can't outscore him by 4 points in one race weekend. Just can't happen unless he has a DNF, basically. That's the only way that it's going to happen. We gained quite a lot of acclaim for that race win, and not only that, but we hit our sponsor targets. We smashed one of them. I won't say which one. I'm losing my voice. That's how intense this race was. I'm getting all gravelly and stuff, so it's a good job that things are just about wrapping up at this point. We definitely have enough money to re-sign Piastri should he want to, and that is going to be it for this video. Please make sure you like and subscribe. I've had a really good time filming this season, and I hope you've enjoyed watching them too. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one.